Welcome back, everyone, to LBS Response to episode number 90. So yes, welcome back, everyone, to another LEGO video. In today's video, I got my LBS Response to episode number 90. This is the weekly Q&A series I do here on my channel. I've been doing it for almost 4 years now, and pretty much I take all of your guys' questions, form it into a 20-minute video every single Thursday, and go ahead and answer them with my honest opinion. So if you guys are new to the channel, which there's over 4,000 new people since the last episode of these, feel free to leave your comments down below. I try to get to about 10 or 15 every single week, so give it a couple weeks, and if your question is not answered one week, keep on asking it kind of thing. But today, guys, we've got 12 questions, and without further ado, let's get into them. So starting off, Jeffrey Fantine, he says, what are your thoughts on next year's May the 4th set? Any chance it might be an Endor bunker? Personally, if I had my choice, I'd love a remake of Jabba Sail Barge. Keep up the great content. Thank you so much. So, yeah, basically the word on the street right now for the May the 4th UCS set is actually a buildable Chewbacca character, kind of in the same form as the BB-8, the Porg, and most importantly, the R2-D2 from a couple years back. Rumored to be about $250, and if that is the case, I will be severely disappointed because two things. First off, I don't think that has to actually take a UCS slot, as is I think they could have done something for maybe 120 bucks and make it 800-900 pieces, if not even a little bit more if there's no minifigures. So that will be very disappointing. Of course, May the 4th promo, we have no ideas yet. Presumably it'll hopefully be a minifigure. I mean, based off kind of what they said in that last designer interview, might actually be a minifigure poly bag. And then one thing I will kind of put right out here, the more I've kind of thought about it, the more I've kind of seen the trends. I actually have the Microfighter Slave 1 in hand now. I will make a little bet right here, or a little guess. I really do strongly think that come the October next year UCS set, we might actually get another UCS Slave 1 remake, mainly because we have the Microfighter Slave 1 this year. Kind of lines up the AT-AT Microfighter to UCS, and then also the Razor Crest Microfighter to UCS. So those are kind of my claims next year. I personally think Chewbacca, buildable character, UCS for May 4th, and then also a UCS Slave 1 for October, which again, one of those will be really good, and one might be pretty damn bad. So that's that question. Thanks so much, man. So next up, we have Samoa. They say, ask LBS, do you think we'll ever get figures like General Kenobi, General Skywalker from the Clone Wars, or would it be smarter to get off Bricklink now? So my quick answer to that, and I think this is just factual, I don't think LEGO will ever go back to making the animated style Clone Wars heads ever again. So if you're concerned about getting those direct Clone Wars minifigures, with the animated face style, get them now, since we will never see anything remade like that ever again. And even from a factual standpoint too, if LEGO ever does go back to, say, a Clone Wars set, maybe they make a Twilight or another gunship, directly based off of, 08 wave, animated face styles, phase 1 clones. Those will never be the exact same minifigures anyway, so, the minifigures from literally 15 years ago at this point will always retain some value. So at this point, look, the General Skywalker's only a couple bucks. If you're getting the OG one, he's only like $4 or $5. I believe Kenobi's up to about 15 bucks now, but for what it's worth, just grab them now. No harm done, and we'll never actually get those minifigures ever again, so there's my thoughts on that. So next up, we have Connor Guthrie, and he says, ask LifeBricks, I was really enjoying your Malastare MOC series. Will we see any more of that series, or are you just done? So my quick answer to that is, sadly, for the rest of 2022, that is going to be on a pause. For multiple reasons. A lot of stuff, that's more important is coming up in December, let alone the leak stuff, all those new 2023 sets that kind of got thrown into my hands in the past week. That was completely unexpected, so I was even more time consuming that past week. And yeah, basically all I can say, MOC-wise, is 2023, I know I've said this in the past couple of years, but 2023, I really want to try to mix in some of the old LifeBricks again. I want to make some bigger MOCs again for my own personal enjoyment, let alone for your guys' enjoyment too. So Malastare, we will truly have to see the first week or two of January when I have a little bit more free time, kind of take YouTube a little off, maybe start only uploading 4 days a week instead of 7, and have a little bit extra time. We'll see where my passion is for that MOC, but at the very moment, Malastare probably has a 30% chance of being done, but definitely not for the rest of 2022. So yeah, there's a quick answer to that. So next up, we have Nathaniel. They say, ask LBS, did you ever collect Lego Indiana Jones, and or will you collect if they do re-release? So kind of a two-parter right here. So first off, did I ever collect Lego Indiana Jones in the past? No, I've not. I've actually never seen any of the movies. I've only ever had one Indiana Jones set, so that being the Pearl on Peru. It's kind of, a throw-in gift that my parents got me back in, I think, 2009 for Christmas. And I built it. I ended up selling it later on Craigslist for probably very cheap, since that's kind of what I, stupidly did back then. been, but I never collected Indiana Jones in the past, and the only way I'll actually get the newer sets is my source, that actually got me the new 2023 Lego Star Wars sets. There's actually a pretty big chance, 50-50, I guess, if you want to be optimistic, 50-50 chance that he'll actually be able to get the Indiana Jones sets early also. And if I can get them early, say even 5 or 6 days early before reveal, enough where, look, if I know I'm getting them, I can say watch the movies then, and then, do some honest reviews of them, and then, kind of just know what I'm talking about. I'll do it at that point, but if I can't get them early, then I really don't see myself ever getting those sets. Maybe eventually if one's really cool, grab it on clearance, but at the very moment, I've never collected Indiana Jones, and personally, I've got no intentions of ever doing so. So next up, we have Link Likes Lego. He actually asked a couple questions here, but I'm only going to answer one. He says, ask LBS, what are your thoughts on Lego resale stores like Bricks and Minifigs? And then also we asked about the Lego Mexico factory, which I actually talked about that coincidentally a lot in yesterday's video. Definitely go check that out. And then best and worst sets to invest in. I've just done those videos in the past week or so also, so I don't mean to be rude to you and not answer your other questions, but I did like the first question, but again, I've already kind of answered those other ones pretty previously here. But yeah, let's move on to the Bricks and Minifigs question, kind of other Lego resale stores. So I actually kind of had a pretty bad connotation of Bricks and Minifig stores for the past couple of years, up until I actually went to the Crest Hill, Illinois Bricks and Minifigs. I went over there, and I was actually for a Bricklink order. They ordered for me, and they ordered, I think, like maybe 800 parts or so. I missed I miscounted one part, so I was one missing piece away. They contacted me about it, but they said, hey, look, we kind of need this pretty quick for a little series or a little project they're doing. So I actually did my own due diligence. Again, like I literally just drove over there. It's about 40 minutes away. Hand delivered the part, and then I was talking to the owner and one of the other employees there for literally, I'm not even kidding, like 7 hours. I think it was. I think I got there about 4 p.m. and I ended up leaving around that time, about like 11 p.m. They closed at like 9, and we just stayed 2 hours after hours. And so overall, look, and he was telling me a lot about it. And the more I learned about it, Bricks and Minifig stores, I actually really do like now. I like the concept of them. I think, again, all owners are subjective. He's even kind of told me that. He said actually the owner of another local Bricks and Minifig store is kind of just a complete 180 of how he is. But again, that could go both ways, I guess. But nonetheless, resale stores and Bricks and Minifig stores, if you have one in your local area, definitely go check it out. Give them a little business, and more than likely you'd be pretty happy. And from everything I've kind of heard over the years too, when I went in there personally, there was really not too much overpriced stuff. There was a lot of connotations over the years where, look, a $10 minifigure is going to be $50 there, but everything was pretty fairly priced for being able to get it in hand, actually see the, the true condition, and, maybe pay an extra, maybe 15% on top just to literally be able to, buy it right there and drive home with it, you know what I mean, and like have no risk of anything. So nonetheless, I definitely recommend checking them out, and I think you'll be pretty happy yourself. So next up, we have Sith Studs, and this was actually asked 12 days ago, so before any of these leaks and before I actually have these sets, but kind of a good one to answer right here, I guess. He says, out of all the 2023 sets revealed / leaked so far, which one is your favorite? So of course, you guys already know, I have reviewed all three out of the 4 2023 sets, the TIE Bomber, the 501st Battle Pack, and the Slave One. They're actually all right over here. And look, objectively, I think everyone's answer has got to be the TIE Bomber. I actually did a poll over my community tab too. There's over 12,000 votes. And I want to say last time I checked, I think it was a 58% TIE Bomber. So it seems like everyone's overall consensus is, the TIE Bomber is the best. I think it's pretty hard to compare that to, obviously the Microfighter, that's blown out of the water. 501st Battle Pack, the proof of concept is a good idea, but do they execute it perfectly? Is it really something we need, say, compared to a TIE Bomber at this given moment, a one-to-one comparison? I don't really think so. So I definitely got to give TIE Bomber the edge. And I'll say it again, I think $65 for that set is an absolute steal. And I recommend it to really any LEGO Star Wars fan ever. And yeah, so there's my answer to that. And I guess that question worked out 12 days later. So next up, we have Lego Tank. He says, ask LBS, what are your thoughts on clone army building? And are you going to make an army video? I started collecting in December of 2021, and it's truly addictive. So congratulations on starting your collection. And I do agree it is pretty addictive. So to answer that first question, what are my thoughts on army building? I have nothing wrong with it. I really don't. I think, everyone should be able to buy whatever they want with their own money and have no problems with it. It's just the fact of the matter. Clone army building has gotten virtually impossible these days, at least with the older clones especially, and some of the newer clones too. Even we're looking at 212 troopers. Those guys are still going for $12 to $15 even after being produced out of the Mexico factory. Now there's an extra 10,000 in circulation. So it's just the fact of the matter. It's getting a lot more expensive these days. That's not my really, main objective anymore. My only clone I really want to ever army build, which I kind of have been on the backside is actually doing the Clone Wars Phase 1 clones. I've been able to accumulate about 80 or 90 of them, so I'm hoping to get up, of course, over 100 plus. That's really the only clone that's, hey, whenever someone's selling one or whenever I see one, that is kind of the clone that actually attracts my attention. So that's my favorite clone. That's the clone I'm personally army building in. Will I make an army video? Probably sometime next year, probably in the summertime. I wanted to do those this year right now in the winter, but really going into 2023, I've really kind of seen how time consuming some of this stuff is. And I think if I were to get an editor, I think that's my #1 priority next year is to get an editor for probably 80% of my videos, just to kind of free up some of my time. Since again, my videos aren't even the most edited. You guys know that. I throw it in iMovie, I sit around, do out some of the cuts, I put some transitions, add some music, and but all that for daily uploading is pretty time consuming. So going into the new year, if I can figure out my time management a little bit better, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. But I think virtually, I think that's a problem with a lot of people. Until I probably move out of the house and have a whole entire house instead of just a basement for my Lego collection, it's going to be very, very hard to build, display, and actually have all my clone army, let alone droid army, rebel army, all that type of stuff actually built up at once. So I plan on it. Hopefully I'll make that video next summer, but at the current moment, army building I think is pretty tough and not my top priority personally. So next up we have Jackson, and basically his question is, would you be on board with an unnamed Jedi battle pack / accessory pack consisting of 3 or 4 Jedi bows, basically a cheap way to build up your Jedi army to kind of have some just kind of generic Jedi. So yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I would lean much towards probably the accessory pack version, just because I feel like, the accessory pack, you would assume from Adam, is probably a cheaper thing to do, a little bit more, probably easy on Lego's budget to make, especially with how little they seem to make. I mean, literally, they can't keep those clone command stations in stock ever, but I don't really think that's because we're buying too many. I think that's just because they're not actually producing enough. But I think an accessory pack, give us, 3 really cool Jedi, 3 different color robe prints, give us like tan, black, reddish brown, just so it's all kind of interchangeable again. Every single one would have to have the same head, of course, every single actual individual accessory pack, but give us some really cool, printed arm, Jedi robes, actual Jedi robe on the torso, actual, leg printing, some brand new hair pieces. Maybe give us like some of the hair pieces with an actual, Jedi, Padawan braid in it and all that type of stuff. I think an accessory pack would be incredible, and I probably wouldn't go too crazy on them personally. I'd probably get maybe 3 or 4 of them, but I definitely think it's a good proof of concept. I think Lego needs to start doing that. Let us build our armies of stuff. Don't give us named characters. I don't want a Mace Windu, a Yoda, and a Plo Koon in there. I want 3 random Jedi where we can just completely, continue to swap out the heads and hair, make it a different species, alien, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I would love that, man. A great idea. Next up, we have Siege Battalion Productions, and he says, ask LBS what Star Wars movie or show is the least and most represented in Lego. So very simple right here. The most represented is definitely Empire Strikes Back. We have 10 Hoth things every single year. We've had like 12 AT-ATs. We've had a Snowtrooper every other year. We've had like 7 Battle on Hoth, little sets. We've had so much of that stuff that's just crazy to me. How much, episode 5 stuff we actually get. And then the least representative, we want to get very specific, would probably be Star Wars Vision, since there's actually 0 sets based off that project. At least every single thing else, Resistance even, Kenobi, a Book of Boba Fett, even Andor actually has at least 1 set, and even the Clone Wars, even the 2003 Clone Wars, there's 1 set based off that. So least represented is Star Wars Visions, which I'm perfectly fine with. I couldn't even get through that series. Again, it's just my own opinion. I wasn't a big fan of it. So I personally don't care if we ever see a set out of that series, but I would assume probably going into season 2 next year, we might actually see at least 1 set from that show. But yeah, those are just the factual answers there, and probably 100% right. So next up we have Keith Crane. He says, when are you going to do another room tour? Love to see all the updates. So that's another video I wanted to do this year. I wanted to do a big kind of grand finale of like the ultimate Lego basement, but another one of those things where literally, come next year, when I start making a little bit more money, if everything continues to scale up, where I can say just put an extra, what I probably need in this basement, I'm just being honest with you, is probably another $2,000 of just making it look extra nice. You get what I'm saying? And it's kind of tough for me to do that, since I plan on moving out. I originally planned on moving out in 2023. That's still like a 5% chance, but I think more so it's probably gonna be 2024 spring or summer. So it's a little tough for me to really want to spend a lot of money down here more, just to, then if I'm gonna move out, 6 months later. I'd hate to, make it some grand finale, you know, spend an extra $2,500 just to move out 2 months later and really have no use for any of that stuff I bought. I don't want to really, you know, specify anything for this basement anymore, just for the fact of the matter, when I do move out, I plan on, of course, staying at that house for 10 or 15 years. So we'll kind of go from there, you know, but definitely sometime next year, I'll spruce it up at some point. If I can kind of tell, you know, hey, look, it's probably not going to get much better than this, I'll just clean it up, I'll spruce it up, and then I'll make a video. So, again, probably earliest come summertime next year, but if I'm going to make it like a full, true-on, you know, 30-minute tour, absolutely crazy video like that, probably December 2023, personally. So next up, we have Alexander Medina. They say, do you think Lars Homestead and a Blue Milk Luke Skywalker polybag are worth it? So if you're asking from like a fundamental standpoint of like if you should buy them now for any reason, now is the time. You know, they're the cheapest they'll ever be. Lars Homestead's actually down to like $30 right now, you know, pre-shipping, so probably $36 or $37, you know, after shipping and tax. Then also on the Blue Milk Luke, actually, you know, big shipment came from Mexico. A lot of these sellers have thousands of them now. So he's actually like literally go on eBay right now, and he's genuinely like a $35 minifigure sealed in the package when compared to, say, 3 months ago. He was like 70 to 90. So, you know, whether you want to invest in them, you know, have a couple sealed, you know, buy one for yourself, now is the time for both of those, because genuinely now you can spend about $70, get both of them. And I wouldn't doubt for a second, you know, once this kind of Mexico wave of these Blue Milks kind of go away, Blue Milk himself will probably go back up to that $70 range sometime next year. So now is the time. I've actually debated on, I might actually go on there, maybe buy 2 or 3 more Blue Milk Lukes at, you know, literally $35 each, and we'll kind of see where they go. But now is the time. That's when I recommend doing it. Then next up, we have Muller1305 with a Walking Dead question right here. One of my favorite things to answer. I like to kind of sprinkle at least one of these in every single video. He says, if you could have a spinoff of any Walking Dead character, who would it be and why? So, you know, of course, there's a lot of shows I would love to, you know, I would want Walking Dead universe stuff to go on forever, you know, especially with some of the main cast. You know, it sucks. I mean, apparently, as of last night, I guess it's confirmed, you know, Andy Lincoln News over on Twitter and Instagram that has been right about pretty much everything else. I'm pretty sure he's very good friends with Andrew Lincoln's brother. The Rick Grimes and Michonne TV show next year will only be 1 season, so very disappointed in that. I really hope that ends up not being true. But you know, aside from some of the stuff coming out right now, which in my opinion, you know, look, I think they'll all be pretty good. But one thing that I would love to see them do, absolutely love, I would pay $1,000 to see this show. Give us just even 6 episodes of the rise of the saviors, you know, from Negan's perspective. You know, of course we saw here's Negan, you know, 10x22, but I think, you know, genuinely from that point, when Negan finds the sanctuary, finds Simon, finds Dwight, leading all the way up until the final scene of that show, you know, literally if they were to space it out a little bit, since I think at that point the saviors probably would have been around for roughly 8 months or so, probably maybe even 6 or 8 months before, you know, in between when, you know, Negan kind of became the Negan we knew, and you know, when they actually found the group in 6x16. But yeah, I would want a savior spinoff of literally just everything leading up until when Negan goes out of that RV, you know, in 6x16. So I would love that personally, and yeah, that's number 1 for sure, man. But thanks for the question, and I think that's actually all the questions for this week. So yes, guys, that was actually all the questions for this week. A nice little short and sweet episode with only 12 questions. But again, if your question was not answered today, be sure to leave it down below in the comments, and I'll probably get to it next week. I'll be very curious to kind of see, you know, how many more questions we start getting now after that big sub boost. I'm not too sure, you know, how many people will check out this series. You know, hopefully a lot of people do. You know, the series was doing really, really well there. And you know, again, sadly, you know, if we start getting up to, you know, 50 questions a video, again, I can really only take 10 or 15 per week. You know, keep this about a 20-25 minute long video. And I definitely plan on for like the 100th episode, either making it like an hour-long episode or just doing a live stream of it. But when we get to that point, we'll get to it. I believe it's actually going to be February 23rd now. It's going to be when the 100th episode actually premieres. But again, that's 10 weeks from now. Let's get to it when we get to it, guys. But nonetheless, thank you guys all so much for watching this video. Leave your thoughts down below on these questions down below, and I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's video, which is actually going to be a 2023 501st Battle Pack alternate build. First on YouTube. I want to kind of have some fun with it and see what I can make. So yeah, I'll see you guys all there. Bye, guys, and stay safe.